ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So in these verses, some of the most very important concepts of self-realization are explained gradually. Prabhupada says that in the beginning, Lord Kapila had said, perfect yoga enables one to transcend the platform of material distress and happiness. Right from the beginning, when Lord Kapila was instructing, he assured what will be accomplished if one follows this transcendental yoga system. That if one follows this perfect yoga system, then he can transcend both material happiness and distress. Because this material existence means, as we had discussed, the living entities are trying to find happiness, material happiness, and trying to avoid material distress. This is called struggle for existence. And Lord Kapila, he is assuring that if we follow this system of yoga, which he is going to describe, the result will be, we will be able to transcend, the living entity will be able to transcend both material happiness as well as distress. Then next he describes how to do this. So first he says, when our consciousness is absorbed in matter, in enjoying this material world, when it is controlled by the three modes of material nature, when it is influenced by three modes, it is called material existence. And when you become free from the influence of three modes of material nature, three modes of material nature may exist. Sattva guna may be there, Rajo guna will be there, Tamo guna is there, but we are not influenced by that. That means mind has become purified of these three gunas. So consciousness is not affected by them. Then that is called pure existence or spiritual existence. So then how this is achieved, this he is describing in this verse. How one can be freed from the influence of three modes of material nature. How the consciousness can be free from the influence of three modes of material nature. So actually it is very simple. If our mind is influenced by these three modes of material nature, Sattva guna, Rajo guna, Tamo guna, and its effects are also seen. How do we find? Somebody is very lazy, so we understand, influenced by Tamoguna. somebody is very lusty, passionate, very active in material endeavors, then we can understand influenced by mode of passion, Rajoguna, isn't it? And our activities are defined by that. Once you are influenced, then what happens? When the mind is influenced, then senses will act according to that. Say for example, mind contemplates on sense object. Result will be senses will get engaged in that kind of activity, and that will produce so-called material happiness or suffering. And so-called material happiness is actually suffering, even though we may perceive it in illusion as happiness. So this is the result. So what Lord Kapila is advising is, we should make the mind free from the influence of three modes of material nature. Once the consciousness is freed from being influenced by three modes of material nature, that will be called spiritual existence. Otherwise, if our consciousness is attracted towards modes of material nature, Rajoguna, Tamoguna or Sattva-guna, I like the happiness of Sattva-guna, I like to be, some kind of happiness which I am getting in my mind, in the atmosphere, in the surroundings which I am living in, I am happy with that. Influenced, at least may not be by modes of lower gunas, by Sattva guna, but still we are influenced by the three modes. Still you will have material happiness, better kind of happiness, but it is not free from the modes of material nature. We become free only when we are free from the influence, when consciousness is no more influenced by three modes of material nature. How this is possible? The Vedic literatures advise gradually work in such a way the lower modes can be eliminated, higher modes can be acquired, so that slowly you are influenced first by the modes of goodness, and then perform activities in the mode of goodness and gradually become even free from the mode of goodness. Slowly to transcend that. That is a usual way which the Vedic literatures prescribe. So perform certain kinds of restrictions, austerities to avoid the lower modes and to promote the higher modes, to be influenced by higher modes. So vidhi and nishedha, certain do's and don'ts, rules and regulations are to be followed so that lower modes can be avoided and we can be predominantly most in Sattva guna, and then gradually proceed from Sattva guna towards liberated life. That is generally what is advised. Because as long as Rajoguna and Tamoguna are there in our consciousness, they will disturb the mind. If they are there, it is very difficult not to be disturbed. Something is there and not to be disturbed is very difficult. So mind has to be cleansed. By certain process, you can regulate for some time. Okay, that is temporary. Even in Krishna consciousness, temporarily we should do. It is required. Mind is influenced, there are sense objects, mind is being drawn to that side. We should not easily let it loose, let it go wherever it wants. No, restraints are there. But at the same time, the process of Krishna consciousness is different. The process is not just to regulate, but regulate and fix the mind on higher things, where the mind becomes captured. It derives something pleasurable, something better. In today's conversation, Prabhupada is giving that example. A servant, he is serving in your house, but if he gets a better salary somewhere else, it is easy for him to leave. Very easily he will leave this service and he will go to some other service because he is able to get something higher. So actually that is the process. Mind has to learn to engage in something higher, and that something higher is devotional service. That something higher is devotional service. So, actually that is the process of how to get rid of Rajoguna and Tamoguna. Just by subduing, it is not possible. We have been seeing so many examples in the Vedic literature. Prabhupada very often cites the example of Vishwamitra Muni, Saubharya Muni. They all tried varieties of regulations and this and that. But mechanically, it is not possible because one has to understand Maya is very strong. It's not possible for living entity by its own endeavor to overcome the influence of modes of material nature. It is not possible. Devotional process is different. We take help from the Lord. That is the whole idea. All other processes, they are all dependent on their own mind and their own intelligence to come out of the modes of material nature. Devotional service is not that process. It is surrendering process. We surrender to the Lord. My dear Lord, I cannot come out. You help. And then very easily the Lord helps, takes us out of this material existence. That is the process of devotional service. Tesham aham samuddharta mrityu samsara sagara. Very easily the living entity can come out if Krishna takes the task of taking out the living entity from this material existence. And that is actually the process of devotional service. So, Prabhupada is very nicely analyzing, as Lord Kapila is saying here. When one is completely cleansed of the impurities of lust and greed, produced from the false identification of the body as I and bodily possessions as mine. So, how is lust and greed produced? First is, it begins with identification. It begins with identification. The spirit soul, who is actually part and parcel of Krishna, who is transcendental, he is Param. Para api, even though he is above the modes of material nature, he identifies himself with matter. When we identify, this is me, this material body is me, and connected to this material body is mine, my family, my society, my country, isn't it? Connected to this body is mine, then we are influenced by three modes of material nature, and the result is kama and lobha. It is produced by identification. Kama and lobha is produced by identification. That means what? You become free from identification. You are free from kama and lobha. Kama and lobha is produced by identification with this material body. So once we become freed from identification, I am not this material body, I am spirit, soul, part and parcel of Krishna, I must engage in the service of the Lord, and we engage our senses like that, tat paratvena nirmalam. Correct? All kinds of upadhis we give up. That is how bhakti is defined. Then, when we engage those purified senses in the service of master of senses, then actually that is called as devotional service. So, how does one become free from this identification? That means kama and lobha. The process is given in Srimad Bhagavatam. How one can become free from this? So Prabhupada explains, the beginning is to hear about Krishna. It begins with that. Shanvatam swakatha Krishna punya shravana kirtana. The devotional service is so great that people in the material world, they need to do lots and lots of heaps of activities, pious activities, to come to the stage of sattva guna, to reap the benefit of higher gunas in this material world. Devotional service is so great, Prabhupada says, even if you don't understand a single word of Krishna consciousness, Krishna has given us the ears. If we just engage our ears in hearing Krishna Katha, Prabhupada says, you come to the temple, just sit down and chant and hear Hare Krishna, even if you don't understand. But still, your life will be filled with supreme punya. Punya Shravana Kirtana. Simply to hear and chant itself is actually very, very most auspicious activity for the living entity. Then what happens? Shanvatam swakatha Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridantastho hi abhadrani vidunoti suhrad satam. Our heart in which, or our mind, our consciousness, where this rajoguna and tamoguna, this is called dirty thing, abhadra. So abhadra has come from where? We have identified ourselves as this matter. From that, lobha, kama is produced, because of which we are performing fruitive activities, because of which we are suffering. So now how to get rid of this identification? The process is start hearing Krishna Katha. So when we hear Krishna Katha, what is going to happen? It will be opposite, it will work in opposite way. From identification came kama and lobha. From kama and lobha we are suffering in this material world, our material existence is increasing. The knot is getting more tight. We started with one knot, ahankara. On that knot, me, mine, all different kinds of knots. Isn't it? That is what Bhagavatam explains. From aham mameti, all this knot becomes more and more tight, one after another. One upadhi started, I am matter. Over and above so many upadhis. Right? I am man, I am woman, I am brahmana, I am this, I am that. This is called aham mameti. So knots after knots we have tried, very difficult to overcome. Right? And in that we perform varieties of activities influenced by rajoguna and tamoguna. Complicated life. So now the process is here. The more we hear, this abhadra, rajoguna, tamoguna, the product of that ahankara, this will get slowly wiped away. And then the spirit soul will come to the position of sattva guna, sthitam sattve prasidati, nashta prayeshu abhadreshu, nityam bhagavata sevaya. And this process is not just, okay, once I have come and once I have heard is, ho gaya, finished. Or one saptaha, one week I heard Bhagavatam and finished, my kama and lobha will be vanquished. No. Nityam bhagavata sevaya. Every day we have to hear. So, every day when we chant and hear the holy name, every day when we chant the glories of the Lord, and we hear the pastimes of the Lord in the form of Krishna Katha, then what happens? Nashtha prayeshu abhadreshu. Prayeshu, what Krishna said in the previous verse, that Rajoguna and Tamoguna, Krishna Abhadra, that Abhadra, whatever is there, Krishna will cleanse in the heart. That actually becomes cleansed. Almost becomes cleansed. If every day we hear. Prayeshu, Prabhupada explains, almost. So, even that much if it becomes cleansed, then sthitam sattve prasidati. Tada rajas tamo bhava kama lobha dayasthai. Chete ete rana vidham sthitam sattve prasidati. So, the more we hear, the effects of Rajoguna and Tamoguna will keep coming down. And our heart consciousness predominantly will be in Sattva Guna. What will be the effect of Sattva Guna? How do you know I am predominantly? You are no more, tormented with lusty desires, hankering desires. You want to become a big man in this material world, you want to enjoy material life, material comforts of life, endeavoring so hard for material existence, all that will stop. So then we can know that yes, predominantly this hankering after lust and greed is gone. And then gradually we will be able to come out. And then what will happen? It will terminate by cutting off the knot of ahankara. We will be able to realize. So not only the present, not only we will stop producing more and more fruitive activities to bind ourselves in the future. The previous different kinds of activities and karmas we have been carrying, the chain of fruitive reactions we are carrying. Actions in the future we will stop, but the reactions we have been carrying, even they are terminated. That is the glories of devotional service. The desire to do fruitive activities is gone, and whatever we have been carrying from the past many lives, all that knot, everything is terminated. And then the living entity becomes completely freed from the influence of three modes of material nature, and he understands, I am eternal servant of Krishna. And that is his actual position, where he becomes completely situated. So, this is what Lord Kapila is describing. So, Prabhupada is very nicely explaining this. Kama and Lobha are the symptoms of material existence. So, if we are influenced by Kama and Lobha, we should know we are still in material existence. Everyone always desire to possess something. So, this is Kama. Want to possess something. It is said here that desire and greed are the products of false identification of oneself with the body. So, very interesting, very important to understand how this Kama and Lobha are produced. Identification with body. We have identified. From Ahankara comes this Kama and Lobha. When one becomes free from the contamination, then his mind and consciousness becomes free and attains their original state. Mind, consciousness and the living entity exist. So what will happen? Mind will exist, consciousness will exist, and we will exist. Everything will exist, not that we will cease to exist. What is going to happen is, mind will become free of the contamination of Kama and Lobha. That is what is going to happen. So how that will happen, Prabhupada explains. Mind, consciousness and the living entity exist. Whenever we speak of the living entity, this includes the mind and consciousness. The difference between conditional life and liberated life comes when we purify the mind and the consciousness. When they are purified, one becomes transcendental to material happiness and distress. So what will be the effect? How does one know somebody is purified in his consciousness and mind? Simple test. Is he affected by material happiness and distress? If we are affected by material happiness and distress, our consciousness and mind is still not purified. When we have become purified of our mind, no more we will be disturbed by material happiness or distress of this material world, right? This is what we have learned in Bhagavad Gita. When Krishna explains who is a person, sthita pragnasya ka bhasha, right? In that chapter, if you read, you will see the same thing. Equipoised, not disturbed. Happiness may be there, distress may be there, kanchan may be there, gold may be there, this may be there. He is not disturbed by all these things. Why is not disturbed? So that is Prabhupada is explaining. Because kama and lobha, all these things are gone. His mind has become purified. Consciousness is purified. Disturbing elements have gone. These are the disturbing elements. You see? They are the one which causes suffering in this material world. So, then Prabhupada further very beautifully explains. In the beginning, Lord Kapila had said, perfect yoga enables one to transcend the platform of material distress and happiness, right? This is what in the beginning Lord Kapila had said. Perfect yoga system means what? It will take you out of so-called material happiness and distress, situate you on transcendental platform, transcendental happiness. That is called yoga system. How this can be done is explained here. One has to purify his mind and consciousness. This can be done by the Bhakti Yoga system. As explained in Narada Pancharatra, one's mind and senses should be purified. Tat paratvena nirmalam. One's senses must be engaged in devotional service to the Lord. That is the process. The mind must have some engagement. So mind has to be engaged. Senses have to be engaged. Prior to the senses, if mind is engaged, automatically all senses will become engaged. Savai manaha Krishna padar vindayo. Prabhupada explains, first of all, one must engage the mind. Then it is very easy to engage all other senses. Otherwise, your senses may be engaged, your mind is somewhere else. It is very difficult to engage the senses. That is the process. The mind must have some engagement. One cannot make the mind vacant. So there are some people who think that, I can completely destroy this kama and lobha by getting rid of kama and lobha, by making the mind vacant of desires. I will not desire anything. No, that is not possible. You have to purify the desires. Purify the desires means you have to desire only for satisfaction of Krishna. That is exactly what Arjuna also did. He purified his desire. Before Bhagavad Gita was spoken, he was thinking about his own sense gratification in terms of his own perceptions. I want to fight, I do not want to fight, I will go to hell, I will suffer there, all those things. After Bhagavad Gita was spoken, it's not that he became freed from all desires. Rather, he became influenced by Krishna's desires. Karishye vachanam tava. Krishna, whatever you say, I will do. And he fought for Krishna. So it's not that he became freed from all desires. He became freed from material desires. Purified of all material desires. That is the meaning of Krishna consciousness. So if we engage our mind in Krishna, naturally consciousness becomes fully purified. Simple method. Senses are impure, no problem. Mind is impure, no problem. Prabhupada gives the example, put the iron in the fire, iron will also become fire. So just engage the mind, engage the senses, endeavor in that direction. Just keep yourself engaged, that's it. That should be our endeavor. Our endeavor, we cannot purify the mind. Our endeavor, I will take out lust, I will take out, no, that is not possible. Our endeavor should be how to not give time for Maya. Constantly engage your mind and senses in Krishna. They will attain higher taste. Once you get higher taste, your consciousness will not become dragged towards lower taste at all. Isn't it? That should be the process. So we'll stop with this. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.